Bring back my girls. Bring back my girls.
What?
Bring back my girls!
Greetings everybody, this is Channel from NYC coming to you with another review. I do show reviews and recaps quite often, so if you like what you hear, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe for more. So I just watched all of season 2 of Trinkets and I have a lot to say, so let's not delay, let's get right into it. And just so you know, there are spoilers, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you know what to do. So season 2 of Trinkets picks up just a few days later. So in the final episode of the first season, we see Elodie dip on us with Sabine. Sabine's going on tour, so Elodie's like, alright girl, I'm gonna come with you. But very soon after that, she takes off those rose-colored glasses and realizes that Sabine is not the woman she thought she was. Like, and I don't know how she didn't notice this, but Sabine is out here trying to live her life. She has love for everybody. She's not trying to be tied down. And Elodie clearly wasn't aware of that. So when she goes on tour, she sees it with her very own eyes, what kind of time Sabine is on. And she's like, all right, I'm going back to Portland. So once Elodie returns home, her father and her stepmother lay down the law. So he's like, you can only go to your shoplifters meeting. You can go to school. That is all you're going to be doing. You're not going to be turning up. He also wants her to find an extracurricular activity, so she chooses to join the band. On her first day of joining the band, she sees another young lady who catches her eye. She's like, ooh, who is this? Like, I ain't never seen her before, and neither have I. I'm like, since when did this girl go to this school? So her name is Jillian, and she plays the clarinet, and she's kind of feeling her, so Noah's like, why don't you go talk to her? So she does. So nearly every encounter that they have is so awkward. I feel like Jillian's reactions are normal. Like, she's nervous, you know, it's like, ha, yeah, like, whatever. But Elodie is like robotically, painfully awkward. Like, I just want to shake her and be like, girl, just speak. Like, you know how to talk, just talk. You can do this. Elodie and Jillian are going pretty strong during the first 5 episodes of the season. Jillian is apprehensive because she's not out, but she does make it clear that she's feeling Elodie. Now let's switch over to Mo for the first 5 episodes. So as predicted, we start off season 2 and Mo is clearly leaning on alcohol. Like, she's always carrying a bottle of liquor on her. So I was right. That was one of my little theories. I felt like Mo would be having like a bit of a alcohol dependency, and she is. The first few episodes of season 2, she's suspended because remember in season 1 she hit Brady, and you know, we cannot put our hands on people, so she's at home and she passes each day by drinking and sleeping for the most part. Throughout season 2, we also get introduced to Mo's brother, who is just so beautiful. Like, he is probably like one of the finest dudes on the show. But we get some more storyline to Mo, which is great. We get to see more of her at-home life, which is exactly what I wanted, so I'm excited about that. Some way, somehow, her teacher manages to get her to join the school's robotics team. You know, she's not feeling it because she's like, that's really nerdy. But clearly she's the best. Like, her first day there, like, she saw as like a big, you know, like little robotics mystery, and she really proves herself to be that girl. Over the course of the season, her drinking issue kind of just disappears. Like, it just dissipates out of nowhere. Trust me, I don't want to see anybody with a drinking issue because, mind you, these girls are like 16. They're in 11th grade. So, no, I don't want them to have any like major issues like that, but like, it wasn't like really discussed. Like, there was one scene where they all spent the night at Mo's house, and Tabitha and Elodie were just like, you know, is she okay? And they were like, I don't know. And that was really it. But, you know, maybe it's for the best. We didn't really have time to discuss like her drinking problem when the point is that Elodie is stealing. So in the beginning of season 2, her relationship with Noah is pretty good. I'm like, all right, I can root for them. Like, we love to see it. But then it kind of falls off by the middle of season 2. It seems like he's not really feeling her because she's not doing what he wants, you know, her to do as his girlfriend. She's not doing the best job. And it's kind of frustrating to watch this because we all know how smart Mo is. He knows how smart Mo is, and he knows that she doesn't always apply herself, you know. She didn't want to join the robotics team, but she does, and she's killing it. Everything's looking good for her, and he's looking at her sideways because of that. Despite that, they're still my favorite couple on the show, so Team Moa, that's where I'm at. So by episode 5, they get into a huge argument after Mo makes a mistake during a soccer game, but the argument was so extreme she thought they broke up. So she goes to the robotics lab, and Chase, who used to be her enemy and is now her robotics teammate, is there. And you know, one thing leads to another. Shorty thinks that she done broke up with her man, and they kiss. So let's shift over to Tabitha real quick for the first 5 episodes. So remember, at the end of season 1, we saw her cozying up to Luca, who was also a person who attended those shoplifter anonymous meetings. I didn't really stand them. Like, honestly, when their scenes were on, I was kind of like, like not paying attention, but it was nice to see her with somebody who wasn't Brady. In the beginning of season 2, Luca and Tabitha are in a pretty rocky place, and then before we know it, he's gone. He really ghosted on her, couldn't get in touch with him through text, phone. He wasn't at his job, he wasn't at his crib, so he really just like disappeared on us. Unfortunately, the pest that is Brady is still around and is still bothering Tabitha. So for the first few episodes, he's acting like he's healed. He's sharing that his therapy's really been helping, and it all feels so fake. They almost got you, girl, because after a while, he put on those airs for so long, I almost believed it. But by episode 4, he shows his true colors, and I'm not even gonna hold y'all. Episode 4 is the Halloween party. He catches Mo and Tabitha outside, and he's just like, girl, why don't you want me? Like, I done changed. And she's like, boy, get out of my face. And out of anger, he hits a car and just starts yelling, and it actually scared me. Regardless, it is clear that he's still salty, and his obsessive personality won't let him leave her alone. On the bright side, there is a vibe between Tabitha and Mo's fine brother. The only thing that's an issue for me is that there's clearly an age gap, because remember, these girls are in 11th grade, which means they're about 16 or 17. We can assume that Tabitha is still 16, and I'm gonna assume that Mo's brother is anywhere from like 18 to 21, so I'm just like, it's kind of weird. So some questions I had by this point between the first 2 parts of the season. Number 1, we see the girl steal from time to time. You know, Mo doesn't really have a stealing issue. Tabitha has a bit of an issue, but it's not focused on as much. We don't actually see Tabitha steal that much, but it's kind of obvious as to why. But every time we see ELODIE steal, it looks like it pains her so much. Whenever she experiences something negative, she immediately has this uncontrollable urge to snatch something, like she has to steal something. And it's really hard to watch because it's like, when is she gonna have her breaking point? So now we're gonna switch back to ELODIE for episodes 6 through 10. So around this part of the season, ELODIE and Jillian are still going strong. So in case y'all forgot, ELODIE is mad talented. She can sing a little bit, she has a cute little voice, and she plays the ukulele. So she gets the chance to perform at an open house, and she invites Jillian. She's really nervous, but Jillian, you know, holds her down. You know, Mo and Tabitha were really mad, and she even texted them like, come support your friend, which was super nice of her. However, for some reason, Sabine literally shows up out of nowhere and just starts singing on stage with ELODIE. Now, although they sounded amazing together, like their voices sounded so good, I really hated this scene a lot because I'm like, while our girl is trying to heal, here you come again messing with her. And I thought that she was gonna be solid and like just annoyed that she was there, but no, there was so much energy between the two of them on stage. And mind you, Jillian is in the crowd like, girl, like, am I your girlfriend? Like, what are we doing? And she's mad embarrassed, so she just walks out and she ignores ELODIE for a few days. So she's not texting, she's not answering calls, even in the school hallway she's like dipping on her. So following that, Sabine decides to invite ELODIE to the studio and play a song for her, but the song is one that ELODIE wrote, and she actually wrote that about her own mother. Sabine thought that she wrote it about her, and she's like, girl, like, I did not write it about you, my mom dies for my mom. So she takes ELODIE's song and she records it professionally and plays it for her, and she's like, oh, you like it? And ELODIE's like, girl, no, I don't, like, you didn't even ask me. So she gets mad, and she finally realizes that Sabine is not where it's at. So she's like, you know what, girl, goodbye, delete that song, don't talk to me ever again, and she's out. So ELODIE meets up with Jillian at a record store, and this is where she comes clean about everything. So she admits that she's a kleptomaniac, and she's been using that as a crutch ever since her mom died. Jillian is understanding, but you know, she mentions that she has an older sister who struggles with addiction and she tends to lie. So, you know, dealing with both of those elements, seeing like similar elements from her sister in ELODIE is a little too much, and I totally understand that. So she's like, I'm gonna need a minute, I'll tell you if I want to like continue with this relationship. By the last episode, luckily, ELODIE seems to have a real breakthrough. So she actually asked her dad to take her to the mall, and she returns all of her stolen goods. She tries again with Jillian, and it seems like they're going off on a good path, which is really good to see. Let's hop over to Mo real quick. So remember when I said Mo kissed Chase? So when she was kissing him, Brady's current girlfriend at the time, some random white girl, she saw this and snapped a picture, which if you watch this episode, please go back and watch it. How did you not see this girl taking a picture through the window? I feel like I would have seen that from your peripheral vision. Like, how do you just, you know, the logic there is just goes over my head. Brady gets his hand on this picture, and he's like, I'm gonna blackmail this girl. So he wants Mo to steal the midterm so he can have the answers in advance. After a pretty chaotic episode, she manages to get it to him, but the authorities find out about it and they go on a hunt for who the culprit is. And Mo is pretty much shook for the rest of the season. Because on one hand, it's like, you don't want to get expelled. On the other hand, you don't want somebody else to be pinned for this crime. Because it is a crime, like, you can't do stuff like that. But then you also don't want Noah to get hurt, because his whole ultimatum was like, if you don't do this for me, I'll send the kissing picture to Noah, who will be upset. By episode 7, we finally meet Mo's dad, and I love episode 7. I loved how it was filmed. So we meet Mo's dad, and that got me so hyped because that was exactly what I wanted. Last video, I said I want her dad to play more of a role, and he does. Now, if we were to get a season 3, we would definitely see the relationship grow and be repaired, but we only got 10 episodes, and mind you, he comes into episode 7. There's only 10 episodes in this season, so not gonna get the chance to see much, but at least the conversation gets started. So unfortunately, Noah ends up finding out about the kiss between her and Chase, and he breaks things off for the 250th time, but this time it's obviously real. By the end of the season, the school ended up pinning the whole midterm gate thing on Chase, who really had nothing to do with it. He had no idea. And Mo does try to speak to her teacher and tell her the truth, but I don't really think that she tried hard enough to be heard. So lastly, let's get on our girl Tabitha for the episodes 6 through 10. So Tabitha had been creeping around with Mo's brother, and by episode 7, their secret relationship is revealed because, you know, they kiss and they mac and whatever, and here comes Mo, and she's like, what are y'all doing? Like, I understand why she was upset. Glad that they didn't spend too many episodes being upset, because I really hate that. And again, we don't have time for like an episode long beef. We get a little flashback with Tabitha as well during episode 7. The previous year, she spent Thanksgiving with Brady's family, and I really like this scene because it gives an idea as to where he comes from and why he is the way he is. I wanted to feel bad for him for like 0.0000035 seconds, but then he snaps on Tabitha and just reminds us of why we hate him so much. So in episode 5, Tabitha has her black experience. Now let me explain myself. Tabitha is obviously black. Her mother in the show is played by the gorgeous and talented Joy Bryant, but before this episode, she never mentions being black. Mind you, she doesn't have to walk around with a sign that says I am black, but it's never discussed. All of her friends are non-black, and that includes ELODIE and Mo. So in this episode, she goes to a fancy furniture store and is ironically accused of stealing in a case of racial profiling. The next day when she's at school, she's like really upset. So Marquise, who's like the one other black character that they just randomly added to the show this season, he tries to give her some encouragement. His family member owns a beauty salon, so she goes there and it's like a black beauty salon. She gets her box braids done and she shows up to school the next day. The conversation that he has with her is very valid. He talks about colorism, racism, and he talks about people who claim to be against racism but still perpetuate microaggressions. These things are all valid, and we've seen it play throughout history, and it's still happening right now. Like literally, turn on your TV. However, I really feel like the writers just dropped it into the show to make sure that they were being relevant. It didn't really fit. Colorism is important because Tabitha is a very light complexion black woman and Marquise is their darker complexion, but I didn't understand what it had to do with the situation. Like she acknowledged it, like, yeah, colorism, and it's like, no girl, you benefit from it. But he just like mentioned it. I'm like, okay, this is kind of odd. So another thing that was really strange to me is that she said that she didn't want to have to straighten her hair to fit in, because over the course of the show we see her with her lovely curly hair. But the thing that's weird is that she's one of the most popular students in the school. Like literally, she went to a party and somebody thanked her for being there because it just made their party more poppin'. Like that's how popular she is. Again, she's one of the most popular students in school, but never straightened her hair. We never saw her with straight hair the whole series, seasons 1 and 2. She was stealing from stores during the first season, and we're gonna assume that she did it before the first season started. Her appearance only seemed to matter when she went to the furniture store with her mom, and even that felt like it was just convenient for the storyline. Anyway, I digress. Later on in the season, she goes with ELODIE to Sabine's studio, and she runs into Luca, the young man who went MIA on us. You know, he ghosted us. So we find out that he stole her credit card information and had been using it quite freely. So on the very last episode, our 3 girls choose a very creative way to put Brady on blast. They break into the school at night, and then they put up all these really big posters. So Tabitha, being a photographer, she put up pictures of her injuries that she sustained by being with Brady. She put up text messages from him as well as pictures that she's taken of him and puts it on blast in the cafeteria. So the next morning, everybody sees this and Brady has to be forced to deal with his truth in public. The girls also post like a brief message, and they're admitting to like the midterm gate and everything like that. And I mean, my fingers are crossed that they're gonna clear the innocent people in this, because we don't actually see the aftermath of that. Mo and Tabitha, they end up skipping school and support ELODIE as she goes to the beach, the ocean, and she spreads her mother's ashes. So the very final scenes of the last episode shows us kind of like whatever happened to them. So we see ELODIE and Jillian take their relationship in public, and they look very happy and proud. They're holding hands in the hallway, so like that's a good look. Tabitha ends up getting one of her pictures in the gallery, and Mo is out here on her academic game. Like she was in the diner where she works wearing an MIT sweatshirt while studying, and I'm like, oh my god, my baby. Because Mo is my favorite character, so I was really happy to see that. Mo and Noah do not seem to be together, so like hashtag Moa ? Because let's have hope. They're in the last scene and he makes eye contact with her and they're smiling at each other, but then he walks away, so it's like maybe there'll be like some rekindling. I'm excited. So my last few questions in terms of the series as a whole. So number 1, why did her father never put her in therapy? Like I don't think that just sending her to Shoplifters Anonymous was enough, because the issue wasn't necessarily that she stole. The issue is that her mom passed away and she used stealing as something to help cope with that. I'm not really pleased with the treatment that Brady gets in the end, because we can't really assume much. At least people people know that he was trash. At least they know that he was hurtful to her, and it also gives his current girlfriend the ability to leave him. But that's it. Like, that's all we get. Mind you, he gets into Stanford after the whole midterm gate. So I guess we're just supposed to be satisfied with the fact that he has to publicly live with his conscience with what the girls put up in the cafeteria, but that's just not enough to me. If the writers had it their way, I think that they would have had 3 seasons max, especially because the girls are in 11th grade. It would have been nice to see them mature and figure out what the next move is for each of them upon senior year. And I think by then we definitely would have seen like a whole healed ELODIE. With an extra season, I also feel like we would have seen the secondary characters used more wisely. I don't really feel like they were used enough, and I feel like Marquise's character just was there for Tabitha's racial profiling storyline. I'm sorry, I don't remember everybody's names, but the young Asian lady who was the Halloween party, I think her character was funny. The young white gay man who Marquise was like close to, they were, you know, they were friends. Even him, like, he had like a few stereotypical one-liners, and I would have loved to see his character a bit more. Overall, this show had 20 episodes in total, and I think that they did the best that they could. I like the pace, I love the setting, I love how they used the city of Portland in their show. Even though the show wasn't as diverse as I would have liked it to be, I really felt like those 3 main characters had great chemistry together, and I'm really gonna miss them. I'm gonna miss them so much. I really liked watching them. So I'm very curious to hear your thoughts. Did you like season 2? Was it a good wrap up? Are you glad the show's over? Are you satisfied with what Brady got coming to him? So yes, please share it down in the comments below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all of that. If you're down to hear more show reviews, more movie reviews, recaps, all that good stuff, please feel free to subscribe and make suggestions, because I'm always looking for something new to watch. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.